Ciao! Welcome to a new class. I'm Giulia, and today we're going to talk about how to archive, organize, and back up your images. Are you ready? Let's start. This is such an important topic, which is often overlooked. However, if you start organizing and backing up from the beginning, you won't find yourself down the line, like in 2 years, trying to make sense and organize like a huge mess that you collected over a 2-year period. So it's important to start from the beginning. Stay organized from the beginning. You will always find your images and it will save you so much time and so much headaches in the long run. That happened to me a few times, that phase when my clients were like, hey, remember that shoot we did 3 years ago? Oh, I lost all my files. Do you still have those images? What? So why should you have a system? To save time. It will save you time in the long run. Maybe it will take a little longer, like those extra 30 seconds when you start doing it. But think about it in 2 years, if you had to do it, if you had to organize your whole mess in 2 years' time, it would take you literally days, if not weeks. And I am talking from personal experience here. So trust me on this. Stay organized from the beginning, because when you start having a large archive and library of images, mamma mia, so much work to keep it organized. So stay organized from the beginning. Develop a system, and I'm going to tell you what kind of system. You should have a system. Why? Not only to save time, but also so that you're able to find your images more easily. So, for example, if a client 3 years down the line, they ask you, hey, do you still have those images? Then you can say, yes, no problem. And maybe charge them a small like archival retrieval fee or something like that. Also, it's not just convenient for your clients as a service to them, it's convenient for you if for any reason you are trying to find your images. For example, if you want to do a collection of, let's say, you want to print all your cake images that you've shot over the years, how do you find all of the cake images? Or as you develop your skills, for example, your editing skills, you want to go back and look at your older images and see if you can improve on the editing with, the new techniques that you've learned. For example, that happened to me, and I was able to actually go back into my archives, get some of my old raw files, develop them with the new techniques that I learned, and they turned out fantastic, like a lot better. And I was able to use some of those images that I shot years before in a new light. So you can always find your images more easily. For whatever reason you might need them. You will avoid image loss. That's, again, I'm talking from experience here. When you don't have a backup plan, you freak out, because if you lose your images, if you are ever thinking about like going pro, your images are your livelihood. They're literally what makes you money. So if you lose them, you lose a huge part of your business. And if you lose them, you lose memories, you lose valuable time that you spent creating that beautiful, cupcake or that beautiful pasta. And you spend so much time and so much love making those images. So it's I don't know, but like it's like losing your babies in a way. And you avoid headaches, as I said many times as well. So it's very important to have a system. So let's see what kind of system we need. So we have a system for organizing our pictures as we import them from our memory card into like our folder structure, and how we put them on our computer. And then we have a system for backing up those files and make sure that we have copies of them. So if we start by organizing our image library, you should have your whole image library on one main hard disk. This hard disk will get backed up, and we'll get to that later. But your whole image library should not be divided into different hard disks. It should be all in one place. Keep it all in one place. Then you should have a solid folder structure. I am going to give you some examples of this in just a minute. But basically, you need to find something that it's intuitive and simple for you, that you will be able to understand and it just works for you, so that you don't have to think about it. You will automatically know where your images are stored and how to find them. So again, I will give you some examples, but then obviously work with, everyone's brain is different. So work with what works for you. But basically, not only do you have to keep it all in one hard drive, but you also should keep them all in one folder. So have one main folder for all of your photos, and then organize your photos into subfolders. It's like, that you're storing all of your milk in your fridge. So if you're looking for milk, you know exactly where to go and find milk. If you're looking for fresh stuff, you know exactly that's going to be in the fridge. All the fresh food is stored in the fridge. So you don't have to wonder every time, where did I put my eggs? Automatically they're going to be in the fridge. So you open the fridge, and then the fridge is going to be organized in a way that works for you, and you know exactly where to go and retrieve that particular item. And the same applies to images, obviously. You need to be consistent. So you have to have a sit down, think about your folder structure, think about how to structure your library, and then after that, you need to be consistent. So you need to apply that structure consistently over time. And if you do happen to change your folder structure at some point, because maybe you come across an article, or maybe you realize with experience that the system you developed when you were a beginner is not working for you anymore, that is fine. Like, you can change your system and you can improve your system over time, but already having a system will improve the system a lot easier. If you have to create a system from complete mess, that's going to take you forever. If you already have a system that only needs small tweaks to be improved and work better, then you're going to be a lot better off. Tags and metadata is a way to organize your images as well as putting them into folders and subfolders. There's another class on this, so we're going to dive deeper into the tags and metadata in another class about the Lightroom library module. So check that out. Now, here are some examples of a folder structure that I use, that I know some of my colleagues use, and that it generally works well. However, take this as an example, but then apply your own mindset and like what works for you to this example. So you can, as I said, we start with one photo folder. So one folder in one hard drive that has all of your photos inside. Then you can start dividing it by year, obviously, so that you know that year you shot those photos, so you can always go back to that year. And then you can divide it by month, so obviously January, February, etc. And then within the month folder, you can divide it by subject. So I don't know, cake, chocolate cake, raspberry muffins, carbonara pasta, and all the subjects. So this is a way that you can do it. And obviously, you can create as many subfolders as you need to stay as organized as possible. So you don't necessarily need to have year, month, and then just a list of subjects. You can even divide those subjects into smaller subjects. And I have an example of this later. Another way that you can divide your folders is, again, by year. And then underneath here, we can divide it by theme. So if you don't remember exactly what month, or if if for you it's not easy to remember what month you shot that particular cake, but it's easier to remember that it's a cake, then what you can do is divide it by year and divide it by theme. So cakes, pastas, meat, vegetarian dishes. That way you know that if you're looking for carrot cake, it's probably going to be in the cake folder, which is probably going to be, I don't know, if you shot it last year, it's probably going to be in the 2020 folder. So that already gives you like a mental structure, and you know, it just highly increases your probability to find that photo straight away, because obviously you have that system in your head. Some other people don't divide it by year straight away. They prefer to have a folder with all the themes, so cakes, meats, vegetable, muffins, blah, blah, blah. And then inside of that have a year folder. And then obviously inside of that, the subject folder. So if you have the folder with all the cakes, then you have 2020, 2021. And in 2021, you have carrot cake, raspberry cake, lemon cheesecake, and all of that stuff. So these are just examples. You have to choose a structure that works for you. So to give you a personal example, so how I personally organize my photos, I use a mix of the first method, so year, month, and subject, and the second method, so year, theme, and subject. For my client work, the way my brain works is that for me, it's easy to remember what year I did what client, and oftentimes for tax purposes and like business purposes, so that all my invoices are organized by a timeline, because that's more helpful when you do business stuff. I prefer to divide my client work into years and then months, and then for each month, obviously, all the projects that I worked on in that month. While for my personal work, I will never, the way my brain works, if I know that I've shot a carrot cake, I would never remember what month of what year I shot the carrot cake. I will remember if it was like this year, last year, or like 5-6 years ago. But then for me, it makes more sense to have it divided into themes. So for example, events, which is like, I don't know, someone's wedding where I shot some of the food. And this is, again, personal work. So I wasn't maybe getting paid for this. It's just things that I shot for my own pleasure, or for my portfolio, or with a collaboration. So something that I wasn't paid for necessarily. So events can be food festivals, markets, anything like that. And then fruit and veg, obviously. So like one day I shot all the pumpkins, and one day I shot all the cherries and all the berries. So I will have that. Savory, I will have meat, fish, pastas, and all of that. And then in sweet, I have, again, you can divide this subfolder structure, can be as complex as you want it to be. For example, I have breakfasts, and then inside breakfasts, I have savory and sweet. So if I am looking for an image of pancakes, I know immediately that it's going to be in the breakfast folder, and it's sweet. So I know immediately that it's going to be into the sweet folder inside the breakfast folder. So that having a more complex structure works for me. Maybe if it doesn't work for you, you can just have fewer categories. You can just have savory, sweet, and then inside the sweet, you will have all your cakes, all your muffins, all your breakfasts. You don't need to subdivide all of these. So again, as complex or as simple as it works for you. So let's talk about backups. This is one of my favorite means. No, you don't have a backup plan? Tell me more about this plan for image loss. So having a backup from the beginning is so important. Backups make sure that you do not lose important images. And I know maybe you're just starting out, but in the long run, let's say in 3 years, you want to go pro because you really love food photography and like you're getting really amazing at it. And I'm sure you will. So maybe you want to go pro. You decide, fuck, you know what? I want this to be my job. And if you don't have a backup, all of the images that you shot might just get damaged, lost, corrupted. So many things could happen. Technology, unfortunately, is not as reliable as we wish it to be. So, and if you ever decide to go pro, your images are your livelihood. It's like they're your product. If you were selling something physical, let's say flour or eggs, and you had a whole warehouse full of eggs, and then an earthquake happens and you lose all your eggs, that's it. That's your business done. And for you, the same is with images. So it's really important to protect your images from being damaged or lost or corrupted. So you need to have a backup system in place. Again, this system can be as complex or as simple as you want it to be. This is a generic backup system. There are other things that you can add to this system to make it more secure. And the more backups you have, the safer your images will be. So what you can do is have all of your images stored in your main hard drive. Your main hard drive will be your working hard drive. And they need to be stored in your storage hard drive. So if you have a laptop, I often don't recommend that you store all of your images into your laptop because you're going to run out of storage fairly quickly. I personally store all of my images in my external hard drive, and that is my working hard drive. But if I lose that hard drive or if that gets damaged, whatever, I have backups. So still you need one main hard drive, which is your basic hard drive. If you have a desktop computer that is not a Mac, so if you have a Windows desktop computer, oftentimes you will have two hard drives on your computer, the fast hard drive and the slow hard drive. The fast hard drive should not be used for image storage because often that hard drive needs the space in order to run complex processes that require a lot of brain power from the computer. So that storage, the fast storage, which is usually an SSD storage. Sorry, this is a little bit techy, but do more research on this if you want to learn more. But just trust me on this. Use your fast hard drive for processes. So don't put all of your images in there. You will have a slower hard drive, which has, generally speaking, more storage space, and use that hard drive to store your images. So that's your main hard drive. It's your working hard drive. Then, apart from that one, you should have a number of external hard drives. Again, this can be as small or as big as you need. I have a bunch of 6 terabytes hard drives because I have a big image library. I've been doing this for a while, but you might only be okay with like a 1 terabyte or 2 terabytes or even like a 500 gigabytes. It's really up to you and how much you shoot and how big is your image library. So having a number of external hard drives that have an exact copy of your main hard drive, it's safer. The more you have, the safer your images will be. Because obviously, if your main hard drive fails and your external hard drive fails, but you have 3 of those, then obviously you still have your images on 2 hard drives. So if everything fails, you still have your images saved somewhere. And that's why it's important that the external hard drives are an exact copy of your main hard drive. They are a fast way to back up your images. They're a cheap way to back up your images, but obviously there's a little bit more risk because external hard drives do fail sometimes. or you drop them and they break, or they get humidity and they get corrupted, so something could happen to them. So, but it's a fast and cheap way to back up your main hard drive. Then there's something called a cloud backup, meaning you can create a backup, so a copy of your main hard drive and all of your image library in the cloud, so on the internet. Those images are not stored in a physical place, they're stored in the internet. So this is a slow backup, because to upload the images to the internet and to the cloud, you need an internet connection, and it's going to take a while, obviously depending on the size of your image library. But this is less risky, because obviously the cloud, the internet is a safer place to store your images. Yes, it could get hacked. Yes, something could happen to them, but you can't drop the cloud. You can't pour water on the cloud. So it's a safer way to store your images. And also you can recover those backups from wherever you are in the world, whatever computer you're using, while if you don't have your external hard drives, maybe because they're home or somewhere else, then obviously you can't recover that data if you only have external hard drives. And then to be extra safe, you can have an external hard drive off-site. What does that mean? So let's say you have your main hard drive and 3 external hard drives. 1 or 2 of these hard drives you could keep somewhere else, at your parents' house, at your best friend's house, at, I don't know, your grandma's house, or in your office, or, anywhere that is not the same place as where your main hard drive and another one of your external hard drive is. Why? Because if they break into your house, hopefully not like I'm talking worst case scenarios here, right? But I just want to give you the full picture. So let's say someone breaks into your house and steals all of your laptop and all of your hard drives. Your images will be safe somewhere else, because you have another copy of that library somewhere else. So you go to your mom's, obviously you're going to be gutted, it's going to suck, but you can go to your mom's and recover all of your images. Or again, worst case scenario, like a flood, like a earthquake, that or I don't know, like you just drop a bottle of water on your laptop and your hard drives, then you can go to your mom's and your images will be stored safely over there as well. There are other ways, but I'm not going to get into too much detail there, because they're costly and complicated to set up. But just make sure that you have at least 2 backups at any time. And if you don't have 2 hard drives, it can be 1 hard drive and 1 cloud backup. It could be 2 external hard drives, 1 with you and 1 at your mom's. But to be the safest as you can be, try to always have at least 2 backups. How often should you back up your images? So if you have external hard drives, I personally back them up every month. So at the end of the month, I sit down for a second and I just copy paste whatever I shot in that month to my external hard drive to make an exact copy of my main hard drive. I know that every month I will have an exact copy of my other external hard drive, which means if I lose all of my backups, worst case scenario, I only lost a month of work at any time. However, personally, I also have a cloud backup, which does automatic backups. So you set it up once and then you forget about it. So I know that my cloud will sync with my hard drive every day. at 2 o'clock. So if everything fails, I know that I've only lost 1 day of work. And sometimes that's not even the case, because if I have an important job or an important photo shoot, I'm gonna back up that photo shoot straight away. Maybe I will not even wait for a month. I'm just gonna, back it up. If I come back from like a 2-week travel, that's it. I'm backing that up straight away, because if I lose those images, for me, it means losing a lot of money and a lot of time. I mean, again, a lot of effort. So the cloud backup is gonna run automatically in the background for you. And the external hard drive offsite, so the one that you leave at your mom's, that I back up every 3 months, because obviously maybe it's not super convenient. Obviously, if you have it like in your office, for example, where you go every day, then you can even back that up every month. So the more often you do your backups, the less risk you incur, obviously. So that's all for today. Hope that was helpful. Thank you for watching, and see you next time. Ciao!